Hello, people. You are now in tune to episode 21 of the D&D Footy Factory podcast. I am Dubul Dee, and I've got three people with me for this episode 21. Managers will be under the spotlight again here, and obviously you get the podcasts from us, but you can catch us every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. until midday with the Footy on Top show on Top FM 95.5 FM. That's me and the man I'm going to introduce now. D-Man, what's going on?
What up? What up? Good?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. And you can catch us too on a Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to midday, as I was just saying. 95.5 FM in London, but if you're out of London, probably best to use the TuneIn or the Simple Radio app to catch that, and that's our regular weekly slot. And we've got two people with us. One of them is regularly on the radio show, FBJ.
How are you all doing? FBJ is here. Housewives, I'm tuned in again. The favourite is here.
The favourite of what? The favourite of what? Back from his cardio session. And I'm not sure. Big Sam having some technical issues, so I'm not sure if we're going to have him on today or Goliath on today. But we have Mr. Shoot the Defence in the house, the real people's favourite. So we got Stel in the house. What's going on,
Hello again. Hello again.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Myself to introduce myself.
My name is Hove.
Oh, blimey. You guys good?
I'm good. How are you? You okay?
And should I just repeat what I said before about my team in Cyprus doing pretty well at the moment?
What, semi-finals?
Oh, you said Apoel.
Sorry, I'm on you. Oh, sorry. I apologize.
I am going to come off this call right now.
Sorry, it was a mistake. I apologize. Goodness me.
Do you know how offensive that is? You think it's a joke? I'm actually offended. Apoel.
I'm sorry.
Carry on talking. I don't want to talk to you now. Introduce D-Man. At least he knows what he's talking about.
What are Amonia Nicosia doing, please? Inform us.
Well, we've got 1 foot in the cup final. So we've got a 2-0 victory against Anofossi the other day. Very difficult game because they're managed by Ketspire and his team are very compact. They're very physical, aggressive. They're one of the best players is Amir Varda that used to play for the Egyptian national team, but he hasn't been called up for a few years because he used to send lewd text messages to his teammates' wives. And he's been dropped from the national team, but he's a very good player, and we had him in our pocket, and I'm pretty pleased with the style of play that we played. We started on the front foot, absolutely battered them, and Neil Lennon has come in, and he's completely galvanised this squad. When Berg was there, don't get me wrong, it was great, but this season was pretty bad. Results weren't great, the football wasn't great. A lot of stuff behind the scenes didn't help him. The vice president had a bomb set off outside his house. No one knows why. It's not the guy's fault that the team was doing shit, but Berg got sacked because we didn't end up in the top 6. And in Cyprus, the league split. So what happens is every team plays each other twice until February, and then what they do, they split the league like in Scotland. So the top 6 play each other twice, and then the bottom 6 play each other twice. And we were in the bottom 6, which is the first time in our history. And Berg got the sack. Lennon came in, and what he's doing now, he's using this league campaign to give players the opportunities because we got about 12 players out of contract in the summer, and he's using these players as an opportunity for them to prove themselves. And we've got the cup to play for. So as I said, we've got 1 foot in the final, 2-0 win from the first leg, 2 away goals. Hopefully we can hold on, get to the final, and there's a possibility of playing a team called Ethnigoz who beat AK Larnaca. Now, AK Larnaca have got Matt Derbyshire, who's a mate of mine. And they lost 2-1 to Ethnigoz. And Ethnigoz are probably going to get relegated. They're about 8 points from safety. And it doesn't look good for them. And Duris, who's my mate, the Slovakian striker, he plays for Ethnigoz and he scored the winner against Ajax. So there's a chance we could play them in the final. So that'll be an interesting one. But yeah, I'm talking too much about Cypriot football. A lot has happened in Cyprus this season. So much has happened. I used to do a podcast on the Cypriot League up until December. There's just so much happening, man. If you want to talk about referees who are season ticket holders of certain clubs, refereeing their team's games, as I said, the bomb going off outside the president's house. We had Ketspire blaming the fumes from a local kebab shop getting into the dressing room for his team losing. Like, so much stuff. Like, even the president of one of the clubs, Olympiacos, they lost 3-0 to AEL in Limassol. And one of AEL's goals should have been given for offside, he claims, because apparently VAR, they changed the size of one of his players' feet to make the opponent onside. Like,
What?
These little, yeah, you hear all sorts of shit in Cyprus, man, all sorts of shit. But I'm gonna bring this podcast back next season because it's gonna be fire. I'm telling you, the amount of shit that's gonna happen next season with Lennon on the touchline. Jesus Christ, man. Fucking hell. But yeah, I've spoken long enough about Cyprus, but hopefully we'll get to the final win it, get into the Europa League where we might play Man United.
Ooh.
If they're lucky.
If they're lucky, they'll probably end up in the conference. But wait,
I'll be going to Old Trafford with my fucking green scarf on.
Didn't Ammonia win the league last season?
We won it last season. We won it the year before as well. Well, we weren't officially champions the year before because we were top when COVID struck. So they gave us the title, but they didn't award it to us. But we got into the Champions League qualifiers, and that's when we beat Legia Warsaw, we beat Red Star Belgrade, and then Olympiacos knocked us out. We got to the Europa League, but we won the league last season, and that went to the last game of the season, and it was a great time for us because we hadn't won the league in 11 years. And for me, it was brilliant because we started No Chapters last season, the podcast, and we got a great relationship with the club, a great relationship with the players. And I remember when we won the league, one of the players, Kiko, who actually used to play for Port Vale, I was doing an Instagram live with a mate of mine, and then Kiko, who was on the team bus with the players celebrating, jumps on my live, and he's on the team bus with the players celebrating on my fucking Instagram. It was sick, man. But this is why I love the club so much, man. The players value the fans, you know. So when Omonia lose, if an Omonia player says, like, we played shit, I'm really sorry, we believe them. It's not like when Rashford comes out, it says, I'm sorry, I'll donate 5 books to the school. That kind of shit. We don't. That's nonsense. But anyway, sorry, I've spoken too much about this shit, man. What, 5 minutes?
No, the intention I did that is so you plug No Chofsters, because at the end when I go bang your socials, you don't want to say anything. So yeah, I've got you right. So back to British Shores.
Thank you.
Jurgen Klopp. Just a few hours before we started recording.
You didn't introduce the D-man.
No, he did.
I did him first.
You did?
Yeah.
I introduced him first. I said my co-host from the radio show. I did him first. And then I did FBJ, and then I did you. Yeah.
Introduce him again then.
And hopefully Big Sam will come in. Well, I'm going to go to him first for this to split up the Liverpool supporters talking, because just before, a few hours before we recorded, it was announced that Jurgen Klopp has signed a 4-year contract. So he will be leaving Liverpool in 2026 rather than 2024. One of the main reasons behind it is his wife, Ulla, saying that basically she doesn't want to leave yet. She doesn't want to leave these people yet. He's loved here, might as well stay. And he said, a good man always listens to his wife. And we've got some married men on the panel, so you've had the advice from Jurgen Norbert Klopp. But Dee, will come to you first. What did this mean? How will Pep stay on as long as Klopp does? And what does this mean for the rest of the Premier League? Does this just mean it's going to be these two going out until both their deals end, or is someone else going to step up in the Premier League and stop these two?
Okay, so to address your first question, I think Pep will extend till 2025. Yeah, I think he'll stay at least till then. I think he probably will go before Klopp does. In terms of those two, I can't see anybody else breaking into that top two to win the Premier League. You've got Tuchel there, but to me, if Tuchel doesn't win it next season, I think he might go. I can't see anybody else there now that's going to break that top two, and I don't see anyone else coming in we've got Ten Hag we'll talk about, whatever, but there's a big job there anyway. So for the next 3 to 4 years, I'm expecting either 2 apiece or 3 to 1, like they're gonna get it. As for Klopp himself, I always said when he left Dortmund, the only place really tailor-made for him is Liverpool. Yeah, because to me, Liverpool is a similar family club like Dortmund, but just on a bigger scale. Yeah, and that was the natural progression for Klopp to go to a bigger club, and I think Liverpool fit in perfectly. Don't get me wrong, from what he's done, from the team he inherited, or the squad he inherited to the squad you've got now, he's done an amazing job. Probably one of the best jobs in world football. The way he's transformed that team, he's bought well. He's got them playing a certain style.
We was 10th. We was 10th when he took over, you know.
Yeah, I remember everyone was ridiculing you when you did that. You know, that little applause.
Oh, what, the West Brom?
Okay, but listen, he knew what he was doing. He stuck to his guns, and slowly but surely, because even I was watching a tactical analysis of your 4-0 win against Barcelona.
Oh yeah, Pep Linders talking. Yeah.
That team that you played, that first 11, was dead. I forgot that Salah didn't even play, bro.
Salah didn't play, and Fink didn't play either.
Yeah.
What's his face? Firmino didn't play either.
Firmino. I think in first he played Ronaldo as a false 9, bro. Like, Milner was there. Like,
Shaqiri.
And then, if you look at your team now, like you've almost got the complete squad, in my opinion. And you spent well, you know, you haven't, you know, you could do about net spending, or you have spent a lot of money, but net spend, if you take that into consideration, then fair enough. But, you know, successful team need to spend anyway, but you spent very well. He has got him and his backroom staff, they've got everyone pulling in the same direction. And to me, whether you do the quadruple or not this season, and I hope to God you don't, yeah. But whether you do it or not, you lot are. Everyone talks about City, but to me, you are the team to beat moving forward. I think you've got everything there, you know, and you're just gonna add a couple more in the summer and stuff like that kind of thing. You're gonna be the team to beat, and Klopp to be there for another 4 years. It's just going to be a pain in Pep's backside, but for the rest of the league, they can kiss the league goodbye. It's them two, basically. It's them two going to go neck and neck. It's going to be a great battle for the next 3 to 4 years, and I'm looking forward to it until Eddie Howe comes in and then obviously takes over, kind of thing.
We're going to come to him next.
It's going to be very interesting. But I consider my brother today. I actually really like Klopp, and I hope he does really well. It's just, obviously, I prefer Pep in it, but because Pep's always my guy in that.
Yeah, Pep's your guy. Yeah, Barca.
I think Klopp leaves Liverpool with 3 league titles and 2 Champions Leagues. Yeah.
Come on.
That's my prediction. I think everyone fares in Europe anyway. We know that kind of thing. So I think yeah, and I hope he leaves Liverpool with that CV that matches his brilliance, because at the present time, he's been there almost 7 years?
Yeah, 6. He's been there 6 years now.
So
yeah, 6.5.
A few more trophies for him to get that real respect that he deserves as one of the elite, I think. So, but looking forward to it, man. Should be interesting.
Right, FPJ, Mr. Cardio. You've been asking for them to renew Klopp's contract. You've been saying it's more important than any of the players, etc. Signing a new contract. Absolutely. You've been asking. They've answered. They've come through for you, Jabroni.
Yes,
what were your feelings when you heard the news?
Yeah, no, as you know, we've, speaking away from this, that's more important for me, hearing that and hearing the contract negotiations, or it would be nice to hear there was some sort of contract negotiations going on to extend his time there, because he is the most important signing at Liverpool. The players come and go. I know obviously we've got the Salah situation. I'm not saying Salah he's not integral to where Liverpool are right now, but it's all about the manager, so he is the signing. And I think it also shows a little snapshot, in my mind anyway, how quickly this was all kind of, from rumours to how it was all sealed. It shows, well, if you could move this quickly, for Klopp, I mean, there was one representative who flew in yesterday, as in on Wednesday, to help try and speed this along. It shows you that, well, if they can do that with Klopp, don't know what his salary is, don't need to know. I'm just happy he's there. The fact that it's dragging on with Salah, and you look at other notable guys who have left. Ronaldo has recently left. It shows you that if there's willing on both sides, they can get it done quickly. But the fact that Salah is still dragging on, I think that shows a little bit. Okay, that's a little bit of a harbinger of things to come. But me personally, yeah, I'm absolutely ecstatic. I'm glad you couldn't sail off into the sunset with and have Pep, seeing him off. Pep needs to go first, then maybe Klopp can. But no, Klopp, with what Liverpool are doing, they're only just getting started. I'm not saying this is going to be it for ever and ever and ever, but this team now is running on autopilot. They've got that winning mentality, which I always go on about. When you see how they are so composed, they know what to do. I recently saw them away to Arsenal, and it was just so impressive seeing particularly the defensive unit. It's like clockwork. And you think about how it was pre-Klopp, and even for many years with Klopp, it's like chalk and cheese. So it'll be interesting to see the rebuild, because there are quite a fair few players who are in that peak years of 27 to 31. So obviously he has to recycle some of these players and look for new, which he started doing, certainly from an attacking point of view. But it's good news, man. It's good news. Stadium expanding. You've got the main man at the helm. Obviously, the debacle with the European Super League, Liverpool played their part in it, which was just, rubbish. But the owners, when they've done wrong, they've owned up to it and put the building blocks in positive steps. And this is a massive positive step that the club have taken going forward. So no, I'm really glad his legacy is secured as far as I'm concerned about Liverpool already. It's just about the silverware, as D-Man was saying.
Don't let the owners pull the wool over your eyes, mate. Yeah, I know you said that they apologise, but the next time there's a little Super League coming on board, right, and they're talking about more
I'm sure
money,
there will
more
be
sponsors, yeah, they're gonna change like the fucking weather, mate. They're gonna change like the weather.
What you
Yeah, I
mean?
mean, look, that's par for the course. I'm talking about that from a recent point of view. You had the ticket debacle a few years ago where there was a walkout from Liverpool fans. I thought the whole furlough situation was poor.
Mm-hmm.
That's three things already. That's three things
Other
already.
things where, from from a personal point of view, there are times when I think the club could have been more active in, if that's your guy, we'll get him in. Van Dijk, for example, it took 6 months and us hemorrhaging points before eventually we got him in. But overall, there are some owners who are stubborn and wouldn't necessarily, they'll just leave the club to rot. They would just, fall out with the manager. But you have to give them credit, as far as I'm concerned anyway, that it's generally a happy ship at the club. There's no reports of bust-ups. There is no scandals. Everyone is all singing from the same hymn sheet. And that comes from good management. And that's what the club have done over the, 10 plus years that the club have been there. So for me, look, to me, this isn't window dressing. It's an integral part of what they're doing. And overall, I'm happy with their stewardship at the club.
There you go. Now, Stel, do Salah, Mane, Firmino, they're talking possibly even James Milner as well, but it looks like Ox probably be let go. With them having a year left on their deal, do they follow Klopp and sign new contracts, or will Liverpool be broken up and continue to try and make more signings like the likes of Jota and Diaz and make the team slightly younger?
Well, Chamberlain has hardly featured for the past few seasons. Has he ever had a run of games where you could say, yeah, he's going to be a starter 10 games running? No. He's not that player. He's a squad player, and I think he's been punching above his weight at Liverpool. And he's lucky that he's in a team with individuals that are far better than him. If he was at I don't know, Burnley or Norwich, would he be standing out? No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't. So I think he's going to be out the door. Milner, because of his age, he's going to get out the door. Now, Salah and Mane is an interesting one for me because I honestly believe that Diaz was brought in to replace one of the two. Because what you've seen over the years with various title-winning teams, regardless of who they are, they always tend to refresh their squad in the summer, and they look for players that are hungry. We saw it with I'll give United as the best example I can give. You know, when Arsenal won the double in '98, Fergie went out and he signed, you know, Stam and Blomqvist. And I know that was many years ago, but it's like I said, it's an example. Whereas Arsenal didn't really do that, and that's probably one of the reasons Arsenal never really retained the league title. They never went back to back because Wenger was too set in his ways. You know what Liverpool are doing now, and you're seeing it slowly. They're bloody youngsters, but they're letting go of players who they feel they've reached the ceiling. Like Wijnaldum, for example, they didn't really put up a fight to keep him because they knew that Thiago, once he got going, he'd be exceptional, and he's proven Klopp right. So I don't think there'll be too many changes at Liverpool in the summer. What I will say about them is that they definitely need another central defender that you can say in 2 or 3 years' time will be the guy to come in when Van Dijk is on his last legs. Because don't get me wrong, Van Dijk has been immense, but you got to come to terms with it. One day, he's gonna lose a bit of pace. He's gonna be making mistakes, and he's not gonna go on until he's 35, 36. When you see players like Thiago Silva going on until like 37, 38, whatever, yeah, great. But when you've got 3 men at the back, it's easy to do it like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Liverpool ain't going to change their system for no one. You know, it's remarkable because I try to pay close attention to Liverpool's style of play because even though it's what they call heavy metal football, it's still organised. And you will always see when Liverpool are on the front foot, they've got the 2 central defenders on the halfway line. You've got the two fullbacks bombing forward, and there's always one man holding. Always one man, whether it be Fabinho, whether it be Thiago, and they interchange. But you've effectively got 4 or 5 players in attack in attacking positions. So the next players that come in to replace your Salahs, to replace your Manes, they're going to need to have the similar traits. Now, Jota's been immense, don't get me wrong, and he'll get you goals. Diaz has been superb, but let's not get it twisted. Salah and Mane are just on a different level. They're on a different level, and I had a conversation with Steve Ayer on my podcast beginning of the season. I said, Mane can get you 20 goals a season if he stays fit. And the boys didn't want to have it. They weren't having it. Well, he's on what, 22 this season?
But he scored 20, but he shared the golden boot. No, anyway. Yeah, go on.
You know what is Mane's form dips last season because of the personnel that was in that team. He had to take on a slightly different role. Yeah. And I think where the fullbacks weren't attacking as much last season, I think that affected Mane's performance a lot more. Where now the fullbacks are back to free flowing, bombing forward. I think that helped Mane significantly. But I think
that's all right.
I don't think there'll be an issue with Mane and Salah renewing. I think once Salah renews, they're going to have to pay Mane top dollar as well. Maybe not as much, but they're going to have to give him significantly high because, let's be honest, his goals of late is in the false 9. He's been your informed player. Yeah. So he's now looking at, I deserve, I'm the African nation winner, I've done this, I've done that, blah, blah. And for Liverpool, for the latter part of the season, I've been the go-to guy for goals kind of thing. So he's going to look at Salah thinking, hold on a minute, I need to be not on par, but I need to be respected in how you pay me and that. I think they renew Milner's contract out of loyalty because I think they'll do like a Fernandinho. They'll give him an extra 1 year extension there, whatever. Firmino's the one that's interesting because he's now 5th in the pecking order in that fight. Yeah. So whether they choose to cash in on him because he's been a loyal servant, but he's run himself into the ground for that team. So it's maybe it's time to look to a younger version for the future. And I think the future, Diaz is that future. That team's going to be Diaz's team in the next 3 to 4 years. I think he's the guy. But they need someone who's going to, if you move Firmino and just bring someone in, a young person who's happy to play that position for now, and then start making inroads into the first team. But they're in a good place. With Van Dijk, like you said, they're going to have to look to replace him in the next few years, but you can't replace Van Dijk. You're better off having two very good centre-backs, finding another good centre-back alongside Konate or Matip or whatever, but then they're not going to get that elite centre-back like Van Dijk. I don't think he's one of a kind, to be honest.
Absolutely. I agree. He's more difficult to replace out of everybody in the team, because in an era where centre-backs, quality ones, are hard to come by, 20 years ago, we all could have a strong argument like, no, this centre-back is the best, this centre-back is the best. You're struggling. You're literally looking at a few, and then that's it. So when his time comes, he's still got plenty in the tank because he reads the game exceptionally well. But yeah,
I'm gonna give you a name. I'm gonna give you a name. Yeah, he's a Torino central defender. Bremer. Have you seen this guy?
No.
The Torino central defender, Brazilian. Bremer. Mate, you just keep an eye out on him because he is different gravy. Different gravy.
Well, we've heard it here first. Stel officially has broken in this new guy. So when he is doing madness, Stel, you were the guy who who brought him into the public domain.
He had a really good season for Torino, and he's very underrated.
Okay.
Yeah.
What you said.
I was going to say, personally, just going back to what you were saying, Dubs, I don't see anyone leaving, certainly not this summer. I think one will go next summer when their contract ends. I think because of this 5 subs thing, it somewhat changed the dynamic because you need, you need players now. And it wouldn't be in Liverpool's best interest to, okay, we're just going to go with this, that, the other. You need a pool of players. Liverpool wouldn't be in all these competitions if they didn't have the pool of players that they have. And when you really think about it, it's only Diaz who's come in, and it's like it's taken Liverpool to another level where all of a sudden people say, oh, Liverpool have got a good squad. Before that, it was always quite threadbare. So Origi, for example, he came on against Everton, and you think, is he still at Liverpool? And then he does stuff, but you would think of Firmino, you think of Diaz, you think of those two. Firmino is injured, but you think of them as whoever the starting 3 were in that game. You look at them, you wouldn't necessarily think of Origi. So it just shows that it's a squad game now, and it will be even more going forwards. I still see value in Firmino because he's more of a thinking man's attacker, and there's a bit of guile with him. And also with Mane, the fact that we play him in the central position, because I thought, this guy's done. I've been very critical. I love Mane, but I've been very critical of him in the last couple of years, where I just think they're not doing anything. Also, he's not doing anything, and all of a sudden we're actually getting we're seeing a different dimension to him playing as a false 9, or certainly leading the line. So, I don't see any of them leaving this summer, but maybe one would. The usual 3 will then go. It's just a question of who it is.
Hold time, big Sam in the building. You're just in time. We just finished talking about Liverpool. You're good.
Yeah, Double asked me to start talking about Eddie Howe.
Yeah, I would say from one elite manager to another, it's Eddie Howe.
You and Rodri Giggs are in the same fucking boat, man. Jesus.
Listen, is Eddie Howe? I get you lot to talk about the job that he's done, but first of all, should he be in contention for manager of the season, in your opinion? Start with Stel.
No.
Is that because you just don't like him?
No, because when you've got £95 million to spend in a month, if you're not winning games, then you should be sacked. I'm sorry. Don't get me wrong. You have to build that team, and you have to get them, working to your system, and making Joe Linton score goals and bring him to the form of his life is great. But I'm sorry. Like he's come in, he knows the Premier League, and we said this before. Didn't we say this when we did the show when he was appointed? That he knows the league, he knows what's expected. He's probably done his homework. He's probably learned a bit more while he was out. He's going to make signings that are going to be effective. So, has he done anything that we didn't expect him to do? No.
Okay, so here's a question then. He bought Chris Wood, yeah. Most people turning off about that. Yeah. He bought Kieran Trippier, goodbye, but they've been injured since February, yeah.
Yeah.
Dan Burn, okay, decent centre back, but not everyone's first choice. And
no, but he does a job. He's done
a job, but I don't know if many people expected him to do a job as good as he done.
Well, that's their fault then, isn't it? That's their problem.
Bruno Guimaraes, great player, gamble because he's never played in the Prem, and then Matt Target on loan. Now, when Newcastle bought all those players, people said they were still short of an attacker, yeah, and it still may not be enough because they was after the two centre Botman and Carlos, yeah. And Dan Burn was the third choice in line, basically. And then they laughed at Chris Wood. My thing is, they spend the money wisely, but the money is not the significant factor as to why they've performed the way they have. I don't think so.
Yeah, but the fact is, if they didn't have the money, they wouldn't be bringing those players. And when you said about...
Everton spent as well.
Well, but look at Everton's track record, for Christ's sake. I mean... Jesus, they've had 2 Champions League winning managers, and they've ended up being fuck all. But one of their players is probably going to get done for rape.
But they squandered their money. They squandered their money. So Newcastle spent the money wisely. And let's be honest, 95
but that's under one manager,
players ain't bad.
That's under one manager. They brought in those players under one manager, yeah? Eddie Howe. Yeah. Look at Everton. Look how many managers they've had. They've had Roberto Martinez, Ronald Koeman, Sam Allardyce. Who else? Ancelotti, Benitez,
Silva.
I forgot about him.
We've had Steve Bruce. They've all been better than Steve Bruce. We've had Steve Bruce. Yeah, we've had Steve Bruce. Yeah.
Yeah,
the factor is 90 million or not. Yeah, no team has survived with no wins in whatever it was, 11 games, whatever, and 5 points after 14 games. No team has ever survived that.
But no team has spent £90 million to stay out of relegation in January.
It don't matter. It doesn't matter.
Of course it matters.
No, I think it does matter.
No, of course it matters, but it's not the significant factor. Do you think it's the significant factor?
Absolutely.
Of course it is.
It is not, man. It is. I'm gonna keep my words soft and sweet because I might have to eat them come Saturday at 3:00, depending on how the result goes. But no, I mean, look, we did the podcast before January, and I was very open. I said, look, Newcastle, I'm not worried about them because once the transfer window comes and they buy a slightly better quality players that what they have, they will shoot away from relegation, and that's what's happened. That's not to say Eddie Howe's done a bad job, but that does help. But there is pressure in terms that there is pressure. I recognize there is pressure when you've got these many players. You haven't been there that long. You've got to quickly knit it together. There's an element of pressure on that, but it does help. It really does help. And I also don't think that alone should make him a candidate. We may speak about other managers, so I won't mention names, but I think there are far more suitable candidates for managers.
I'm not saying
I agree.
The season, I'm
saying they had no wins after 14 games.
Thank you.
Just because they spent a certain amount of money. Look at Everton. How much money have Everton spent in the last few seasons? That's because you spend money. That's a guarantee you're going to get the results.
No. Everton is a completely different case.
They've had 7 managers in 10 years.
Exactly.
Yeah, but remember when we were 6 points adrift of relegation of the safety zone, where the games played more than your other teams. Yeah. So you can't. And I mean, it's not like we're 17th. We're 9th. Yeah?
Why are you mentioning Everton though?
We're 9th. Yeah.
But how many clubs can spend that amount of money in a transfer window? There aren't that many. I'm talking about in that position. There aren't that many. So even okay, you're 9th, but it was never ever going to be a relegation battle as far as I'm concerned, and you know that because I said that.
What? They had no points. They had no wins after 14 games. What are you talking about?
I just said
they were never win a game for a third of the season.
Even after the money,
can I just say something?
The majority of people were still writing us off. Yeah, the majority of the media were still writing us off.
Oh, but we never wrote you off. We never wrote you off.
I never wrote you off. You know that because I said that on the podcast.
No way.
So there's evidence. I never ever.
Can we just get something right here? Okay, right. Let's say, for example, Burnley, Watford, Leeds, and Newcastle. Right. Those. How many teams are that? 4. What? Burnley, Newcastle, Leeds, Watford. 4 teams. You give £100 million each to those clubs, right, in January, right? Newcastle will still stay up, right? Because Bielsa, who was in charge at the time, as I said, they play hungry hippos football, right? And they're going to concede goals left, right, and centre because he doesn't know how to buy players, right? Watford changed managers more than they changed their fucking pants. Yeah, so they weren't going to fucking stay up, right? Burnley, who's going to want to fucking go to Burnley? Right? So by default, Newcastle are going to stay up.
Burnley bought Weghorst, yeah, and I was told he's an upgrade on Chris.
Everyone was putting Newcastle down. I can't believe this all that. I mean,
who's everyone though? Who's
Newcastle done?
Who's everyone?
We had a squad of championship players, yeah. We brought in a right back who's hardly played for us. He's been injured. We're playing with our third choice right back at the moment, yeah. Dan Burn was not exactly viewed as an elite centre back. Yeah, Chris Wood, we wasted 25 million on Chris Wood apparently. Yeah, but now all of a sudden because it's worked, oh yeah, it's the money that we spent and this, that, and that. No.
But you're preaching to the choir though. You're preaching to the choir. You're preaching to the choir. You're telling us things that we've already said in the past.
So what else? So what else? What else is the money? What else is it that's helped us come to 9th in the table at this present time? Then.
Well, of course, the man. Listen, if you've got look at Jurgen Klopp for example, right? I'll give you Klopp as an example. When he came to Liverpool, look at the players they had: Nathaniel Klein and all these. Would he have won the league with those players? No, right? He got to a Europa League final.
Right.
But would he have won those players? Would he have won the league with those players? No. Right. But he was given the tools to do his job. But he still had to get those players working because, as we've seen with Man United, they spent a shit ton of money, but they haven't had the players working together. So it works hand in hand. One hand washes the other, and both hands wash the face. Yeah. So it's a two-way street. The players have been the recruitment's been correct from a playing side of things, and the recruitment has been right from a managerial perspective. I'm not saying that Eddie Howe has done a bad job. I think he's done a brilliant job because to bring in those players, as you mentioned, unknown quantities, players who've been written off, and for them to work in his system and to get the best out of certain players like your Joe Lintons, like your Almirons, all these other, great. But the fact remains, if Newcastle didn't spend that money, they would still be down at the bottom.
No, I'm not disputing that. I'm saying to get us to 9th.
That was my point originally.
To get us to 9th, that money got us out of relegation. To get us to 9th is more than the money. I don't get anybody says.
Of course, I agree.
And the money is not the main factor. It's not the main factor.
But because I will say,
after that money spent, nobody said Newcastle have done enough to stay to excel top half of the table. Nobody said that. They've done enough. They've done enough to keep them in the conversation just for safety. I get that. Not for 9th in the Premier League at this stage of the season.
Yeah, but bro, let's get it right. Yeah, Villa haven't been great under Gerrard.
Oh, yeah. But apparently, when Gerrard got appointed, Newcastle they're going to regret not getting Gerrard. They're going to regret not getting Lampard. No, yeah. Eddie Howe's proven otherwise. Yeah, otherwise. Better manager than Gerrard, better manager than Lampard. Don't care anybody says, yeah.
Okay.
He's done a very good job.
You're ninth in the table, right? If you finish 9th, which I don't think you will, I think you might finish a bit higher than that, to be honest. I think you might finish 8th. You might finish 8th. You might finish 8th. Yeah.
Do you know we've got left to play?
You got 4 games to go. You're 6 points behind Wolves, and Wolves have got a game in hand.
2 of those games are Liverpool, Man City.
Who for who?
Newcastle.
Yeah. So I'm saying you might finish 8th. I'm not saying you will, but I'm saying you might.
We'll finish about 10 or 11.
You might. You never know. You never know. What you mean? What have you got? City away or at home?
Away.
So you mean to tell me you can't go to the Etihad and stick 10 men behind the ball, hit them on the counter attack with that back line of theirs, especially if they've got a Champions League final to worry about?
No. We're all like to take a point of Liverpool.
I'm telling you, you are going to take points either off Liverpool or City. You're going to take points out of one of those two. I'm telling you.
Please God, not us.
D-Man,
I've told you.
We've already spoken about this week. I've told you what needs to be done. So,
The man has changed the culture in the club. Yeah. He's changed the organisation of the team. He's got them fitter. Like I said, Joe Linton, Willock, Almiron, who else you got? Kraft, Manquillo,
Cher's been brilliant.
Got them. The improvement in those is unbelievable. Shelby, unbelievable.
Bruno's
the amount of wins that we've got.
Target.
6 wins at home on the spin. Nah,
to be honest,
that's not money, bro. Bruno Guimaraes couldn't get in our midfield for how long?
And they were still winning.
D-Man's won me over.
It's funny though.
D-Man's won me over. He won me over.
Do you know what's funny though? You mentioned Guimaraes about how he was an unknown quantity and he came from Lyon and people were saying, oh, he might not do this and that. Remember the last player that came from Lyon? Was it Lyon that he joined from? And he joined Spurs? And people were saying, oh, he's a baller, he's this, he's that.
Oh, Tanguy and Ndombele.
Yeah, what happened to him?
Marseille.
Do you know, when they signed him, I was laughing my ass off because they were talking about him being the next Yaya Toure. Dude, what is this?
That's because he got
what is this?
Mate. He needed Eddie Howe. Yeah.
Well, he was too busy winking. He was too busy winking at West Ham fans in the first leg, wasn't he? And what happened then?
I tell you what, if we stop Liverpool or Man City winning that league title, we'll give him manager of the season. Yeah.
Yuck.
Don't receive that.
Yuck. Now, talking of what, because we just mentioned their names, Burnley. Is it Michael Jackson that's in charge now after they axed Sean Dash? Oh, goodness me, still. After they axed Sean Dash, which many people were, including myself, were very critical of. But Burnley are doing okay. Are Burnley going to stay up? And let's be honest, Stel and Dee have just had their pops there and talking about Newcastle. Who is going to want this job anyway? Could Michael Jackson end up getting it permanently? Like, who's going to, if they do stay up, or even if they go down, who's going to want to go?
Bro, you watch Chelsea bend over this weekend. I'm telling you. You watch Chelsea bend over.
There's talk of Rooney taking over.
Interesting. What's up? Obviously,
they'll be relegated.
Yeah, obviously, but they always get relegated because of the points deduction. But they took some points off some teams chasing things, so they went out well. So he showed he can instill some team, morale and whatnot.
Leeds can still go down as well,
Yeah, of course they can.
Still go down.
Leeds are going to shock City this weekend. But anyway, that's for another story. But
don't be daft.
Come on, Leeds.
No. As much as I'd like to, it'd be joke to see Everton and Frank go down. I can't stand Burnley in it. I can't stand Burnley. I never have. So I just want them down.
Yeah, but the Kabaddi football's over, man. The Kabaddi is done.
That is true.
Kabaddi
FC. They've got a favourable running compared to Everton. So, but that Mike Jackson. Listen, credit to him. He's got Burnley, like I said, the Kabaddi football's done. He's got them a bit more on the offensive. They're expressing themselves a lot more. They look more dangerous going forward. The ball is not in the air for 80 minutes of the 90. So it's who knows? Who knows, man? Who knows?
Big Sam.
Like I said on the last pod, I'd love to see Everton go down, not because I dislike them or anything, but for the fact that they're a huge club. And for them to go into the Championship and see if they can rebuild. And I think that's what they need as well, man. because they've got so many players on big wages. The moment they go down, these players are going to want to leave. So the club doesn't really need to try to get rid of them because their agents will be all over the place. Yeah, oh, Andros, let's find Andros a club.
Yep.
Let's get Andros a club. He'll work for TalkSport for free if he has to. Delhi won't stay. And he's got Boohoo Man. He's got to do that. Yeah, Richarlison, 50 million quid, and he's going to fuck off and he'll probably end up at Barcelona. Can you imagine?
Oh yeah, well, yeah, don't be surprised.
Jordan Pickford and his little hands.
Hey.
Where's the pen I need to sign?
Pump it up. Big Sam, you're always preaching about the turf, even though they've not been as good in the last couple of seasons. What's going to happen to Burnley? Who do you think might get the job?
I don't think they'll go down. I think, I'm a bit disgusted with how they treated Sean Dyche, if I'm being honest. You know, I know you guys are not fan of him, the biggest fan of him, and I know he's got a really annoying voice, but
I've got a problem with him. No, I don't like necessarily like the football, but he's kept them up. There's more than one way to win, and he's been keeping them up. But if it works, I'll be the first person to hold my hands up.
I mean, I thought there was some sort of relationship between him and the club. I mean, yes, granted, there's been multiple relegations and promotions, but at least see it out to the end of the season and then make a decision. But this guy's come in, Michael Jackson, whatever you want to call him, and there's been an improvement so much so that out of the quagmire. And the last two performances that I saw were pretty good. So there may be some life left in Burnley, and they may give this guy the job full time.
Sam, how do you get your eyebrows so symmetrical? Because that's all I can see is eyebrows.
Eyebrows and forehead.
I spent a lot of time with them. A lot of time.
Oh wow, yeah. You and Arteta, mate. You and Arteta. Right. Right. So as Dee's mentioned them, let's talk about Leeds. FBJ. What have you made of Jesse Marsh so far? Did I go to Stel after? Because Stel was quite outspoken about him because of his stint at Leipzig.
I'm a little surprised in terms of how well they've done. I think it did need to change. I think Bielsa, he was so stuck in his philosophy in terms of football, which is breathtaking football at times. But for where the situation was with Leeds, it needed addressing. Didn't have the cast list to play that brand of football due to injuries. If they do stay up, which is looking increasingly likely, it's that Wolves game. That Wolves game was massive, and they've not looked back since, really. I think they'll stay up. Marsh has done better than what I expected him to do, because I thought if they were going to stay up, they're just about the skin of their teeth. They could still go down, but they're showing a hell of a lot of fight, and they're making it difficult for Burnley and Everton to try and catch them up.
Can I just say they were atrocious at Sellers Park the other day. They came for the draw, and not for poor finishing, Palace could have beat them about 4 or 5-0.
That game was horrible. I hope you left early.
Of course I did. Beat the traffic.
But no, they've done really, really well under him. So I think they're unbeaten their last 5 games, 3 wins in that time with and a couple of draws. So no, fair play. I know there's the stigma regarding American managers, and not really cutting it. Is it Tim?
Ted
Bob
Lasso.
Bradley. No.
Bradley.
But
I thought you were saying about the. Okay.
I was going to say Tim Bradley, and I was like, no, that's the boxer. Bob Bradley and what have you. But no, he's done well. Long term, I don't know. I do think this is honeymoon period, new managerial bounce, which tends generally to happen. But
not in Newcastle.
But no, he's done well. He's exceeded certainly my expectations anyway.
Still, has Jesse Marsh surprised you with what he's done?
What's he done?
with his results, because I was pro Bielsa in it. So people are like, "Oh, Dan, I told you they're more organised and whatnot." Well, they conceded less goals, for instance. They conceded less goals, and
Bro, Leeds are only where they are because how bad Burnley, Everton, and Watford have been. That's pretty much it. If Burnley and Everton and even Watford were picking up points here and there, Leeds would be in big trouble. But let's get it right. If Watford don't win at the weekend and results go against them, they're down. So there's only one place to play for, right? Yeah, because Norwich and Watford are down.
Yeah. Right.
So Everton, Burnley, and Leeds are the last three teams. And to be fair, as much as I think Everton are going to go down, if they shithouse their way the rest of the season like they tried to do against Liverpool, they'll stay up, but just by shithousing. if they play the same way as they did against you guys at the weekend, they'll stay up. That's what I think. Because they'll probably beat Chelsea at the weekend. When have they got Chelsea next? They've got the weekend, haven't they?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and then they've got Leicester, because Leicester got the second leg against Roma of the Conference League, right? So that game's going to be on the Sunday. So Leicester, if Leicester go through, then they're going to be concentrating on the final. They're going to be in second gear, aren't they? So there'll be more points dropped probably. Then Everton have got, who've they got after that? They've got Watford, who will be down, and they'll probably sack Hodgson. So they're going to have a new manager. Then they've got Brentford. Brentford's probably the most difficult one.
And then Palace and Arsenal.
Palace already, they've already got the deck chairs out. And then it'll be Arsenal. And by that time, they'll probably be safe, Everton. So I'm not surprised with Jesse Marsh, because some of these results that he's been getting, all right, he got a good win against Wolves away, but that was, come on, man.
That was massive. They'd probably be down without that result.
Oh, yeah.
They slapped Watford.
They were gone.
They were dreadful against Palace. Dreadful against Palace. They got City next. Then they got Arsenal. Then they got Chelsea. My goodness. The last two games are Brighton and Leeds. And sorry, Brighton and Brentford. Sorry. Brighton and Brentford, yeah. And they ain't going to be easy games. So, look, he's a good manager. But that's it. He could be one of those managers that he's only going to be here for like 6 months and they'll sack him in the summer. You never know. You never know. I don't rate him personally, but if it comes and bites me on the ass, what's the worst that can happen?
No, I like Jesse Marsh. D, in terms of Everton, we might as well do, because of the comparisons, Everton and Villa back to back. If Everton go down, will Lampard think he's too big, even though he's not necessarily done anything significant in management just yet? Would he think he's too big to manage in the Championship?
Two reasons for no, because I think he'll have a point to prove. He can start the Everton rebuild. But second of all, what other teams taking him? Yeah, like there'll be a stigma attached to him that he's a Championship kind of manager. Like you get relegated Everton, you couldn't get Derby promoted. Like I don't see what team really takes a gamble on him if he was to leave Everton. And Everton is still a big club. So the expectation will be to come straight back up. They'll back him financially, I believe, well, to a certain degree, because they will lose some players. I don't see him leaving. I don't see him quitting, like, 6 months into the job or wherever it is. I think, and I don't think they'll sack him either, because they were a mess when he took over. So I think he deserves the right to try and prove himself to get them back into the Premier League. Don't see him going anywhere. I don't particularly rate him, but nah, I don't see him going anywhere.
Sam, what about you? Are Everton going to stay up? Well, they've got enough games to do it. And as that same question, obviously to D, if on the flip side they were to go down, would he stay there?
I mean, after that Merseyside derby, I hope they go down. Bloody Richarlison rolling around like some imbecile. Who is it that said in our Liverpool group that I'm not about this life where I'm gonna miss them once they go down. I don't care if they go down. Let them go down. And Dubs, you said, when we were talking about it, when Frank was appointed, and you were asking us if he's going to do well. I was one of the ones who's thinking he's going to do well. I was thinking that he might do all right with Everton, and he hasn't been great at all. And you called it, you said it, and tactically, I think with Frank, look how he got the Derby job, and then to Chelsea, and then he's found another job in another Premier League club. No. If Everton go down, and I think they will go down, I think he don't survive. I think they chop him, they get someone else in, because clearly he's out of his depth for me.
That club is toxic, though. Is it his fault if they go down? I don't.
Well, dead manager in a dead club. It's a romance made in hell. So it's.
I think if Rafa, they kept Rafa, I don't think they'd be going through this one. I don't think they'd be going through this.
If they kept Rafa, they would have survived, because Rafa's been there before with Newcastle, and
we got relegated with him.
Yeah, but he didn't start that season. You got relegated, though.
No, did Lampard. I'm not comparing Rafa to saying Lampard's a good player.
No, but I mean, in terms of the fact, because Rafa would have started the season, I reckon that he would have kept them up. Yeah, because he's a better manager than Lampard. The CV speaks for itself. You know what I'm saying? Last word on Lampard will go to a man who believed he'd give them the identity and they would stay up. FBJ, round up on Lampson. We're going to go to Stevie G.
So what, would Everton stay up? I still think it's one of those where both Everton and Burnley have the quality to dig out a result. I think that the crucial game in hand with Everton, that's going to be massive. Everton they still have the ability. It's the home form. If the home form wasn't what it was, I would say that they would go down. If they do go down, going back to your question, I think Lampard, I think he has to stay just for the credibility. I think he has to stay. I still think he'll probably get another job purely because his reputation as it's Lampard, and his reputation as a player.
Privilege, yeah, I said it.
Yeah, so I still think he'll get another job, but I think for his own credibility, he'll have to stick it out. The only way his time at Everton would end is if the management got rid of him, and that would be another guy who's gone, and it's what are I go back to it. What are Everton looking for as a club? Because we've rattled off Stel. He mentioned the managers, and I said that at the time when Lampard got given the job. You've gone through all these managers, Champions League winners, the guys who were the next big thing, guys who were, they played an expensive brand of football. You've gone for a guy who the club have definitely wanted in Marco Silva. They chased him on 2 separate occasions. All these guys were deemed not good enough, or for one reason or another, it didn't work. So you let Lampard, or if they were to let Lampard go, they're right back at the starting point of what is it that you're trying to achieve. It just seems it's somewhat it's Man United light, where we'll just throw a whole load of money at it, throw different types of managers, different types of players, and something would finally stick. Maybe the relegation.
The determining factor, apparently, money should be successful. Then, and if you're spending all that money, surely you should be all right.
But if we're related to Newcastle, which I don't want to go back, like I said, how many clubs are spending that amount of money in January primarily to get themselves out of relegation?
Okay.
Money doesn't definitely equal success, but anyway. But cool. But I personally think Lamps would leave if they go down. I think he'll think he's too big for his boots, even though he's not done anything yet. He's yet to convince me with anything that he's done. But a man as a player that he's always compared with is Steven Gerrard. And things started off really well at Villa. They were beating teams, playing nice, attractive football, attacking football. but now they can't seem to win for anything, and now the goals have dried up too. How would you, Stel, describe Gerrard's tenure so far at Villa?
That's it. That's it. But look, let's get it right. Yeah, he came with a big reputation, obviously as a former player, and he did well at Glasgow Rangers.
Mm.
And he made a few interesting signings. He brought in Luca Digne from Everton. He brought in Coutinho. Who else did he bring in? That's it, really. I can remember. Did he bring anyone else?
I can't remember.
El Ghazi went to Everton.
Yeah. So yeah, it was just
Cameron Archer went out on loan to Preston. So look,
Coutinho and Dino, yeah.
Again, I think he's in a similar boat to the American fella at Leeds, whereby the teams below are so shit they've got away with it. They've got away with it because Villa would have been in that mix as well if the teams below weren't so fucking bad. Because I haven't seen anything special about Aston Villa at all. They started well, as I said, but after that, again, when you don't have the personnel, you're always going to struggle. And no disrespect, Tyrone Mings ain't the right central defender to have if you want to, I'm sorry. I don't see anything. I don't get it personally. I don't get it. His first game was against Palace, wasn't it? When they beat them 2-1 away. Yeah. Then they lost to City. They beat Leicester. They lost to Liverpool. They beat Norwich. They lost at Chelsea. They lost at Brentford. They drew against United at home when they fought back from 2-0 down.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Everton away, which who doesn't beat, or apart from Man United, who doesn't beat Everton away?
3-3 with Leeds.
Yep. Lost to Newcastle, lost to Watford, beat Brighton, which, okay, I'll give them that. Beat Southampton, battered Southampton, beat Leeds. And it was that spell where they won 3 on the bounce, which effectively has saved them. They lost to West Ham, they lost to Arsenal.
They've not won since.
Exactly. It's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 without a win. I mean, they'll probably beat Norwich this weekend. And they'll probably beat Burnley, and everyone's going, oh, Steven Gerrard has turned it round. What is there to turn around?
So how many did they lose in a row at one point? Was it 4?
1, 2, 3, 4 in a row. Yeah, there were 4 defeats on the bounce now.
And Dean Smith got sacked.
Oh, sorry, they drew with Leicester. Sorry,
they drew with Leicester. So
four defeats out of 5.
Dean Smith was sacked for 5 in a row, so he's one defeat away from getting the chop. Basically, and he got a draw.
Yeah, but I think the writing was already on the wall for Dean Smith, because had it not been for Hawkeye being broken, they'd have gone down, wouldn't they?
There you go. That Sheffield United game.
Fine margins, man. Do you remember when Bolton? Do you remember many years ago? You lot are close to my age. Many years ago, Bolton played Everton at home, and they had the corner and they headed it in, went over the line, and Bolton went down that season. Now you could say that cost them, but then again, over the course of the season, they were shit. So you can't really say one decision cost them. But again, fine margins.
Yeah,
if that Hawkeye's working, the Villa keeper carries the ball over the line. They're playing Championship football. And what's his name is going to be at fucking Sheffield United still on the touchline with his skin-tight jacket, which should be a fucking, a long one. But instead he's at Middlesbrough.
Man like Christopher Wilder.
Let's get it right. Gerrard hasn't had a summer pre-season. He joined, when was it, January? Just before January? So, all right, you can say that. Okay, he's kept them up, which is probably his remit anyway. That's probably his remit. Keep him in the Prem and see how he goes next season. I think next season we can judge him fairly.
Cool. So let's wrap it there then. For this one, because I know Dee's got to get away.
We're not going to talk about Ten Hag coming in. We're going to talk about
that. Let's take the floor still, because we'll end on Ten Hag, because I dropped out for a bit. I've completely forgot that.
Let me make it brief then. Let me make it brief, right? I said it on the Views podcast the other month. I said no manager can get a tune out of these shitheads. No manager, right? So Ten Hag comes in, there needs to be a restructure from the top right the way down to the bottom. Okay, so the club needs a technical director. They've got fucking Darren Fletcher, who for some reason is still on the fucking subs bench. Mike Phelan is still there. He needs to go. Fletcher needs to go. Phelan needs to go. Ferguson needs to go. They need to bring in someone up top that knows football. Bring in Van der Sar if you can.
They're bringing in a Michael something. Michael.
Yeah, the guy that was at Spurs, Mitchell.
Paul Mitchell.
Yeah, the guy that brought in Alderweireld and Dele Alli and
yeah.
I don't buy that. He went to fucking Monaco. He went to Leipzig. What's he done? Nothing. So I don't buy that bullshit. It's hipster bollocks, right? The fact is, there's going to be a lot of players leaving United this summer, right? Lingard, Matic, Phil Jones will probably go. You're probably looking at about 9 or 10 players. Yeah. Now, if these players fuck off, Pogba's going to go. He'll probably go City, from what I've been told anyway. If these players fuck off and Ten Hag brings in players that are hungry, I'm not talking about players that are established. I want hungry players, like with Liverpool when they signed Robertson and when they signed Mane, when they signed Salah, players that hadn't reached that level but want to reach that level, not that are already at that level when they've got nothing to play for because they're getting big money. Yeah?
Yeah.
Bring in players that want to win, that want to play for the shirt, let the manager do his job. Don't interfere. Don't get people involved that know nothing about football. Let him do his job. And then you'll see steady progress. It's a massive club, but it's a massive job. And this is the difference, right? Right now, Man United is on a downward spiral. But the good thing is, it's been a bad season. Players are being found out. Their asses are being shown. And a lot of fans now, not a pocket of fans, a lot of fans are seeing what I've been saying for 6 or 7 years. That's all I have to say.
I have a quick question. I have a quick question, Stel, before we go.
Yes.
I mean, me personally, I've been pretty disappointed with Ralph Rangnick. You know, seen as this philosopher of football, and we've not seen any sign of it. Does he have to portion a large portion section of the blame? Because he's done that. I have not seen anything. If anything, you'd still think Solskjaer was still in charge. Yes, all right, we can dig out the players, they've been poor, and you have, but I expected to see something from the manager, and I don't see anything. I don't see anything at all.
Do you know what? I think he has been very, very clever. He's been very clever, and I'll tell you why. Because he doesn't often play the same 11. He doesn't often play the same system. He could argue that he's experimented with so many different systems: 3 at the back, attacking fullbacks, 4-2-2-2, 4-2-3-1, whatever, and nothing has worked. So he could argue that all these hours spent in training with these mugs, it ain't working. So he can turn around and say to Ten Hag when comes in, listen, this player, he ain't got the right attitude. This player, he's not good enough. This player doesn't run. This player doesn't want to work. And personally, the only thing I can blame the guy for is playing Bruno Fernandes regularly for me, because I don't rate the guy. I don't get it. I've never understood him. Honestly, I've never understood the hype, but that's what social media does. So in answer to your question, yes, he can take some blame for the results and this and that because he's the manager, well, the interim manager. But at the same time, it's been a masterstroke bringing him in because a lot of these players are probably thinking, well, he's not going to be here as our head coach, so we don't really have to work our asses off. But at the same time, he can say, well, that's work rate is a given. That's a given. You know, you got to give 100% every game. So when I hear people saying, oh, he works hard, no, he needs to work hard. Players need to work hard. And these players aren't working hard. So he can say in his little dossier, this player's shit, this player's a liability, this one's this one's that, boom, that's it. And the next manager, Ten Hag, that comes in can say, well, yeah, I agree with you because you're an experienced guy. You've seen players. You were there the whole time. I trust your judgment. And let's get it right before I end it, right? Rangnick came in, he was an outsider. So he wasn't a Carrick, he wasn't a Fletcher, he wasn't already in the club, so he didn't have his favourites. He came in, clean slate, yeah, like with Sharon Stone in that film where what was that film with that Coolio did Gangster's Paradise for? What was that film called again?
High School.
What?
You know what I'm talking about, yeah?
Dangerous Minds, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Dangerous Minds. Michelle Pfeiffer, sorry, yeah? White girl, blonde hair, whatever, right? She's standing at the front of the fucking class and she said, everyone's on an A+. It's down to you to keep it. Well, that's what Rangnick's done. He's come in and he said, right, clean slate. I don't know any of you. I don't know, who's the favourite. I don't know who's an outcast or whatever. You're starting from scratch. And he's seen the players that are being dickheads. So naturally, he's going to go and say, right, this one is. So I don't think he's done. I think, to be honest, that was the best thing the Glazers could have done. And please get rid of Ferguson. Get rid of him. Get rid of him.
He's collecting his residuals.
Mate, honestly, he has still got some influence in this club. And what United should do is what they did with Bobby Charlton, right? With Bobby Charlton was kicking off when Mourinho was there. What did they do? They named a stand after him, and he's fucked off. He's happy. Give Ferguson whatever he wants to fuck off. He's got a stand named after him. He's got a statue. What more does he want?
I've had an absolute mare with Connection, but anyway, as it
You
is.
are a mare.
Absolute mare. I've dropped in and out like 3 times. Goodness me. But can Ten Hag be successful still? Or was it just?
I think you dropped out when. I think you dropped out, but I think he can be successful if he's given the support to do so. This is what I'm saying. The previous managers have had the financial support, but they haven't had the structural support. You know, Mourinho. Let's give you an example. Mourinho. For me, he should have come in when Ferguson retired, right? But when Mourinho came in, Ferguson was still in the background. All these other players, Rooney, Carrick, Schweinsteiger, all the troublemakers were still there. Pogba started to become a shithead. Lingard, Ander Herrera. Like, these players, and he won trophies with these shitheads, right? But the problem is, the tail started wagging the dog. And that continued when Solskjaer came in, because he started well, 14 games unbeaten, whatever. But then when the shit hit the fan, and the players stopped believing in him, there you go, the tail started wagging the dog again. And they're doing that again with Rangnick. But as I said before, clean slate, he's come in, doesn't know these players from Adam. Now he's seen what they're about. Ten Hag is going to come in, he's going to bring in the players that he wants, but he needs to be allowed to do these things. He needs the support. You can't have...
How much is being given?
Eh?
How much money? What's in the war chest for Ten Hag?
Fuck knows. I don't know. But the way I see it, I don't think it's about how much is spent. He needs to bring in the right players now. It's not about signing your Di Marias. It's like I said, you need to sign hungry players. If he has to go to the Bundesliga and Eredivisie and Liga and Serie A to bring in players that he believes, and I've seen, I haven't watched a lot of Ajax, but I know that club. I've done 3 stadium tours there. I know people in the Netherlands. I know people who've actually worked for and played for Ajax. I know them personally. And this is a club that it's not about the reputation, but it's about having a certain way of playing football and a way of being operated, right? And Man United should be. Ajax are one of the best run clubs in the world, man.
Yep.
You never hear about financial difficulties. All right, the results, and they're not the European champions. The last time they won the Champions League was 95, wasn't it? When they had that phenomenal team with Rijkaard and Kluivert and Overmars. But there are teams deep in football history. Why? Because they do things right. As I said, you never hear about financial difficulties. You always hear them bringing through fantastic players. They've got a certain way of doing things. And I'm excited for once to see this United. But on the flip side, there's a little bit of doubt in my mind that's saying he's not going to be given the tools. He's not going to, again, that's that element of doubt. But I think in closing, because I've gone on for too long, I honestly believe that these owners have actually, the pennies dropped for them. I think they've realized how bad things are. I think they've finally realized, and they're like, right, okay, we're going to do things properly. We're going to bring in football people. Richard Arnold could do the commercial side, but he's not going to get involved in the football. We're going to bring in football people that know the game and build on it, like Liverpool did with, when FSG came in and they brought in Klopp and they brought in all these other people. The guy, was it Michael Edwards? He was doing transfers, but he wasn't taking training sessions, was he?
No.
So Begiristan came in at City before Guardiola, and I'm sure he did a dossier on the players that were there. wasn't it Pellegrini that was there before
Pep.
yeah? So Begiristan came in before Pep.
Yeah.
So he must have seen these players and said, Clichy, shit, Sanya, shit, Kolarov, too old. You know, Joe Hart drinks 50 cans of Red Bull before every game. Like, it's a process and you need to be patient. And I think the owners are looking at social media thinking, fuck all these dickheads that are doing fan cams, right? Ignore them because they've been part of the problem, because they've been toxic and they've been winding up other supporters. Let us get on with our work and let's bring this team to where it should be. I'd give Ten Hag 2 years to turn things around, to at least challenge for top 4. 2 years. I'll give him 2 years.
There you go. Does anyone want to add anything?
I like Ten Hag. I think he'll do well. But like Stel says, that club needs an overhaul from top to bottom. But from what you hear, it looks like they're starting to put things in place. But I just didn't see how many players they bring in the summer and who they get rid of, because they're talking of this 10 players coming in. They're not going to do that.
Oh, no.
There's a lot of excess waste that they need to get rid of. Pogba deserves better. That's all I'm going to say. But anyway, let's
I mean, all I'll say is that finally United have got in a seasoned, experienced manager who's actually won stuff. You know, if you
Are they going to Solskjaer with the Norwegian league?
I forgot about that. Yeah. But,
what did Jose win?
Yeah, they've had that before.
Van Gaal?
Van Gaal, only man that's won the cup in 4 different countries.
I'm saying
we all know what Mourinho's done.
On the reputation of pioneering a certain style of football, you know. Watch this space. It remains to be seen what he does. But yeah, I think 2 years is a fair amount.
He got Haller scoring goals. He got Tadic playing well. I mean, this guy has obviously, he's got a way with players. You know, but the one thing I will say,
stop doing is throwing money at the problem. Like you said, buy hungry young players of a decent level rather than buying the next superstar and think you can build a team of Galacticos, bro. It just doesn't make any sense.
Bro, I don't mind signing like a Rafinha. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't mind signing like
Calvin Phillips.
I don't know, like a Bissouma, for example. You know,
they're going to work. You know, they're going to work. Reliable. I mean, going to
functional players. But you can't throw money at Di Maria. You can't throw money at fucking Falcao. You can't throw money at Bailly. He's another one that needs to fuck off, Eric Bailly. Jesus Christ. Do you know what I'm saying? So the whole team.
He's a skinny Rudiger, but anyway,
he's Mr. Glass.
all I'll say, and I know a lot of ex-players turn pundits, they've all got an opinion and it happens, but I do think it's overdrive with Man United. I think they don't help the situation. Just there's going to be peaks and there's going to be down periods, but some of the pundits, to me anyway, they really go in a bit too hard. Let the man just get on with his work, and if it ultimately fails, fine, but let him get on with his work. Not first sign of trouble and then putting the boot in and this, that, the other. Just let him get on with his work, because Man United are light years away from where they would like to be, and it's not going to be happening just like that. And Stel accurately said it. It would take at least 2 years just to be challenging for top 4 consistently, and that's where Man United are.
You're going to get some loons on social media after 6 months saying, "Oh, he's not the right man."
Yeah, there you go.
He's still playing McTominay. He's still playing Fred. Well, Fred and McTominay have been arguably the 4 best players in the season. De Gea and Ronaldo, and then you got McTominay and Fred. You could argue that Elanga's been one of United's best players this season.
Yeah.
So, mate, honestly, so you just got to be patient, man. You got to be patient.
Yeah.
And, you know, we saw with Liverpool again. I go back to them. You know, Klopp came in, all right, got to the Europa League final right after that was Brendan Rodgers' team. I think you guys were in the quarters at the time when he took over, if I'm not mistaken. Was it the quarters of the semis that you were in when Klopp took over?
No,
it was much earlier.
He was in the group stage.
It was a group phase.
Got to the final in the end, but
yeah. But I mean, it wasn't like an overnight thing. It was a gradual thing.
Yeah.
And the same applies. The only difference is because Liverpool City are so far ahead of everyone at the moment, it's not going to be an overnight thing. No chance. No chance. So you've got to be patient. As I said, give him 2 years at least before you see proper progress. But I'm pretty sure that this summer, in fact, next season, you're going to see a completely different United in terms of style of play, in terms of personnel. It's going to be better to watch, but as a United fan anyway. So anyway, whatever.
There you go. There you go. Right.
Fuck United shit.
Huh?
Fuck United shit.
Right. We're gonna wrap it. We're gonna wrap it there. I've kept D longer than I promised that I would keep him. But in regards to us, if you've got anything to say about this podcast, the podcast page is at DD Footy Pod, and use the hashtag DD Footy Pod. Also, if you've got anything to say in regard to episode 21, anything that we've discussed, or anything you want to add, you might agree with some stuff, you might not. And that's at DD Footy Pod on the Twitter. Our normal page for everything is at DD Footy Factory _, and that's the same on Instagram also. And the Facebook page is D&D Footy Factory also. And if you're listening to this on the SoundCloud, then the YouTube is D&D Footy Factory. If you're watching this on YouTube, then the SoundCloud is D&D Football Factory. All right. My at on all social networks is at Dubul Dee. That's DUBULDEE. And as I said, you can catch us in our normal slot on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on Top FM. That's 95.5 FM in London. Or if you're not in London, probably best to use the TuneIn radio app or the Simple radio app to listen in on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m. D-Man.
Yes, my handle is at illphenomenal25. Phenomenal with an F, and if you can't spell it, you can't follow me. It's actually at the bottom of the screen, so wait, there it is.
But, there you go.
Yeah, peace.
There you go. Big Sam.
My handle on Twitter is at Big Sam A79, and Instagram, if you want to follow me, at Sam the Man Who Can.
There you go. FBJ.
Yeah, you can follow me on the socials. In a social setting, either at a bar, restaurant, club.
Oh my
That's
God.
it.
This prick. What an ass. You get me right. So that is it for episode 21.
Oh, did he still do his handles?
Oh my God.
Right.
Look at that. Apologies, Uncle. He promoted no Chofter's easier. Please still. I apologize.
It's all right. It's all right. Yeah. Yeah. If you want to find out more about my little team in Cyprus, it's No Chofters Podcast on YouTube. What else? Shoot Defense Podcast, which we haven't done one of those in a few weeks, to be honest. We need to do one again. And that's it. Yeah. So yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Look at that. Yeah. So sorry. Apologies. That was it. It's my laptop not going to crash again. That was it for episode 21. Thank you very much for listening, people. We are out.
Peace.